Tactical and strategy RPGs are my favorite genre of games of all time. So whenever a new one hits the scene, you just know I have to check it out, which is why today I'm talking about Sword of Convallaria. In this video, I'll be looking more specifically at the battles and gameplay system, where precise planning meets interactive environments to create an experience where creativity and innovation are rewarded. And while I'm excited to talk about it all, before we get started, I'd like to be fully transparent with you all. This video is sponsored by Sword of Convallaria. Do not worry though, the devs have allowed me to be fully open with you about my feelings on the game and the gameplay systems I'll be talking about today. So please do me a solid and click the link in the description and the pinned comment to download Sword of Convallaria, which is available for free right now on PC via Steam or directly on your mobile devices. And use my code, which is on the screen right now, SOCCREATOR, to get in-game rewards. That is SOCCREATOR's full caps. Now, let's get to talking about Sword of Convallaria. So as mentioned earlier in this video, I'll show you specific battles and my thought process going into them to showcase equally the challenge this game can present, but that with strategic thinking and the use of your environment, you can actually achieve your goals while using a minimal amount of turns or resources. However, before I do that, I will have to break down some very important mechanics that will ease you into the basic concepts of the game, but also show you what makes this game so unique. First of all, as you might have seen on screen in the background from the gameplay, this game takes inspirations from the likes of Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics, with the features such as backstabbing, attacking from the side giving you more damage, or using heights to get bonus damage too. But I think the one thing that will interest viewers of this channel the most is how this game takes inspiration from Fire Emblem. One of the things I love the most about FE and why it's always been a standout franchise within the genre to me was its unique take on combat, with the weapon triangle system somewhat shaping how you will approach combat. So whenever I'm playing another tactical RPG, I tend to miss this aspect of combat a lot, since that specific feature more than often tends to tailor my approach to combat. Well, Sword of Convallaria took great inspiration from that mechanic and created a rock, paper, scissors-esque approach too. But this time it's integrated more in a sort of class system where each unit is categorized into one of 5 classes. Those being Defender, Breaker, Seeker, Watcher, and Destroyer. The Seeker class, being more of an assassin slash thief-like class, will have the upper hand on the Breaker class, which usually focuses on being the fighter-esque high damage character that in turn will be beat by the Defender class, who are meant to be more frontline high defense knights with big shields, and they themselves tend to counter the first class we talked about, which is the Sneaky Seekers, kind of recreating that triangle that, you know, where one class should be used over another if you want to have an advantage. And when it comes to the other 2 types of classes, where your ranged and support type units will be placed in these categories, you're looking at the Watcher and Destroyer, where the Watcher tends to be the best counter to the Destroyer class, but overall the Destroyer tends to be a pretty big powerhouse that most other unit types will struggle against due to its high damages. So choosing the right character for the right job will be essential to having the best effectiveness when it comes to clearing stages and devising the perfect strategy. On the topic of devising the perfect strategy, the game greatly encourages the use of environment to create a highly tactical gameplay experience I really ended up vibing with on a lot of levels. First of all, certain skills and abilities are based around displacing enemy units and environmental hazards. So depending on which character you pick, you may find yourself pulling enemies towards you or simply pushing them off a cliff, or again towards an environmental hazard such as explosive barrels that can themselves, as previously mentioned, be pushed into enemies to create some massive collateral damage. And honestly, playing around with these different environmental hazards was one of the more fun things about playing this game. Just looking at a map and being like, oh, how can I use this specific barrel to my advantage was something I really enjoyed doing. But all of these are but a few examples of different ways to explore your environment when playing Sword of Convallaria to gain an express victory. The game's interactive environment is set up in a way that it encourages the player to use it to quickly dispatch of some cumbersome enemies. But just be careful to use the right ability and right character, or else you might end up dispatching one of your own units accidentally. Yeah, I really messed that one up. So once again, choosing the right character for the right job will matter a lot here. And let me show you a concrete example of using the right character for the right job, with how I cleared this optional quest map in this story mode. Because that's one of the cool things about the story mode. There are a bunch of different additional quests you can do, and you can tailor your experience towards what type of things you'd rather do, such as kill the boss map, make sure these neutral units stay alive, protect a position, escape, destroy these certain pieces of environment. So it's really fun, and it allows you to tailor your own experience to what you prefer in a way. But before I get this battle started, something to keep in mind is that Sword of Convallaria uses a turn system where your speed affects your move order. So a turn goes by once each character on the map has done their actions. Unlike Fire Emblem, there is no enemy or player phase. It simply follows a turn-based model. So here the win condition on this map is to kill the guy in the back with the cool hat. I believe it is called a judge. And as you can see, he spawns within the range of an explosive barrel. So of course, I wanted to explode it to win. That seemed like the faster option. So here, knowing this information I just mentioned, my choice of unit on this map is not going to be made simply by taking my most powerful units, but by picking the units that are right for the job. So the first unit I pick up is this archer here, Facal. That will be instrumental in hitting the barrel from a distance, because as an archer, he is a little bit more range. The second unit I end up picking will be a Fire Conjurer for two reasons. The first one being that this character is a destroyer, so it will pack quite a punch if a unit needs to be dispatched without investing too many resources into it. Let's say something is blocking my way, or I need to readjust my strategy on the fly. The second reason is it's another range unit to have. While its range is lower than Facal, it becomes a secondary kind of win condition, if you could say. The third unit I'll be running is Mytha, who is usually more of a frontline tank, and the reason I picked her up here has very little to do with the main objective, but it's more to act as a backup. Since her movement isn't great, with the main objective being far away, she will not be super useful for that. But this character has the ability to push objects using her basic skill. And you maybe have noticed that there's a barrel at the bottom that is just begging to be pushed into those units flanking us. So deploying her will allow me the versatility to take out those troops that are flanking us, so I don't have to deal with them later if things don't go the way I initially planned. The final unit I will pick is Gray, who is a seeker, which means he has really good movement to quickly get around the map. But this specific character has two nice abilities that will help us. A throwable ability, which is pretty much a range attack, giving us another ranged option for the barrel, but also an ability that pulls people towards him, which means another displacing tool if the need arises. So here you can probably follow my line of thinking. A lot of displacement and a range to quickly end this map. I start here with Mytha, which, by the way, wasn't a random decision. She has incredible speed and tends to move first or second on most maps I've run her on. So I knew that I was going to push the barrel the first thing and get rid of those side units very quickly and not have to deal with them after that. The second unit to move will be the Axe Brigand, the enemy, who will attack Facal and do a lot more damage than I had anticipated. So that's a little scary right there, because our main win condition might be gone quickly. It's going to depend on the move order. But since his way will be a little block, here with our next unit, Gray, we will use his ability to move this Axe Brigand out of the way and just kind of displace him. It won't take him out, but at least he'll be moved out of the way. The next unit to move will be the Judge, which attacks Facal, but since we picked a character as previously mentioned in the Watcher class, well, the Judge being a destroyer means that Facal will resist his attack pretty handily. Another type of unit might not have survived with low HP here. So you see that picking the right character here ended up making sure that he was going to stay alive. Finally, after clearing the axe begin, which wasn't necessary, but you know, we had a turn with our mage, so might as well use it, we'll be able to walk Fecal forward and shoot the barrel, make a nice explosion, and end the map with quite literally a bang. And no, I'm absolutely not sorry for this pun. And we ended up clearing this map in one turn, which is always a fun, interesting challenge to add to yourself. I did get quite granular with the explanation of my strategy here, but my goal was to show you that in this game, with proper thinking, strategizing, and understanding your unit's ability, classes, and how the environment works, you can use superior tactics to clear maps in a fun and interesting way. And understanding all the mechanical minutiae can feel like a lot at first, but it can be the difference between a quick clear and a more difficult one. This game is filled with examples like this. And here I showed you an example from the story mode. But the other game mode from this game, the Fool's Journey, will take this approach to another level in my opinion. So Sword of Convallaria has a second game mode outside of its vast story mode. The game takes you to the Sea of Chaos, where you'll be able to relive events from the story. So you'll be able to see maps you've played before, but from a different point of view. And yet it will even give you a glimpse into the past while learning more about the characters that you encounter during the story mode. But this mode is more or less considered the online mode, where unlike the story mode, you'll be limited to daily energy to get through these challenging and fun stages. And beating them will grant you a variety of different rewards that will allow you to engage with the gacha mechanics of this game. Through beating these maps, you'll collect all sorts of in-game currencies and ways to help you build up your team and pull more banners. And all the resources you'll be able to gain here will be used to amplify your team's strength. However, to gain all those rewards, the game will put some little challenges in your way if you want to get the most out of each map. So, getting a 3-star completion in a map will be sometimes the difference between getting a certain type of reward or another. And add a level of complexity to each maps and sometimes even change your entire approach to the map just to get all those 3 stars and get all your rewards out of it. Let's take the following map for example, since it was quite challenging to beat for me. Since one of the side objectives was clear this map under 7 turns or less. While I won't get as granular with a breakdown as I did earlier, I still wanted to show you how despite having more units here than in the previous one, the challenge lies in understanding how the boss works and how that can change combat dynamics. The boss on this map has a special effect where he will not take any effective damage if too many other bandits are on the field. So logically, we'll have to clear out as many other enemies as possible before fully engaging the boss. But the one problem this leads itself to, since unlike what you'd classically experience in this genre, the boss is not standing all the way in the back waiting for you to get to him. No, he's in the middle of the action. And he's out here doing huge AoE damage to your entire team and being just a real nuisance. So yeah, we have barrels and boulders to help us in certain areas, but the massive troops in the middle is not going to be affected too much by that. So this will lead to a lot of units perishing, and I'll have a couple of attempts on this map where I will not be able to complete under 7 turns. So as I'll try a couple of times, eventually I'll do it. But here this map kind of showcased to me that the devs added a bunch of little things in the game to keep you on your toes and keep you reevaluating your strategy. Even on this map, once I have completed it, there is an hardest version of it that is unlocked. Because certain maps, once you 3-star them, you get the access to the hard mode version of it, which usually will remove environmental hazards or amplify the boss effect and stuff like that will make it another challenge to step into. And this is probably one of my favorite things about this game. Where I was originally skeptical about how challenging the game might be, I was ultimately surprised by how often I would retry a map just to achieve an extra objective I had missed on the side. This game really showed me that using your units and your resources effectively and looking at the map from a more critical and tactical angle was one of the funner way to approach the combat in this game. Alright, while in this video I spent a lot of time on gameplay and different combat mechanics, there's so much more to talk about in this game, which you probably have seen during this video. The beautiful HD 2D like graphics, or the massive story mode this game has that spans over hundreds of hours. There are so many more things I could have talked about in this video, but alas, I am running out of time, and I thought that expanding on the gameplay aspects was the best thing to do for those of you who are still on the fence whether or not you wanted to pick up this game. And honestly, give it a shot. It's free and it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying my time a lot with it. So before we end here, don't forget to check out the link below and use the code SOCCREATOR to get some cool in-game rewards. And a huge thank you to Sword of Convallaria for sponsoring this video. I hope to all see you out there enjoying this awesome game, and big shout out to all my members, and especially my tier 2 and 3 members. Those being Brawler 456, Forgotten Fox, Rogue Arcadia, Equipma Gameplays, Hirame, Case, Iron Wolf, and No. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and sub, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.